Good afternoon, Krishni. We are now live.
Thank you, Tom, and welcome everybody, and welcome back to colleagues and any members of the public who may be observing our AGM today. As I explained in our ICB formal meeting earlier, this is an annual general meeting for our for the year of 22-23. I'll shortly, in fact, pretty much immediately hand over to Mark Dutton, our Chief Finance Officer, who'll explain the reasons why there's been a delay for us in signing off our report and accounts, and then we'll take us through the two elements relating to the annual reports and accounts for the CCG and also for the Integrated Care Board. So Mark, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, colleagues. So, as you said, this isn't a normal AGM timescale. Normally, we tend to have our AGM before the summer holiday period. 22-23, though, unfortunately, was a year of challenge from that perspective. Our external audit partner were conflicted following some consultancy work that had been nationally commissioned on the 22-23 financial year, and therefore felt they were unable to audit our accounts for the 22-23 period. As a result, we went to the market and tried to, through procurements, see if we could procure a new external audit partner. Despite two procurement efforts and two different frameworks, we were unable to secure a partner. So then had to work with NHS England to get their support for an external audit partner to come in and audit our accounts. So Deloitte came in and were our external audit partner, and they engaged with us from November, which has meant from November until yesterday, when the audit committee formally signed off the accounts. We've been working through that, so looking all the way back to 22-23, which was difficult in the sense of for mainly because we had a 3-month accounting period for the CCG and then a 9-month accounting period from when the ICB was established. So we're trying to get back to normal business then for the 23-24 accounts, and are working with the audit partner now pretty much imminently. Now we've signed the accounts off to make sure that 23-24 is done in a more timely manner, and we can have our AGM before that period. So that's the reason for the delay, Chair.
Thank you, Mark, and really helpful to have that very clear explanation. Before I hand back to you, I'm conscious that I didn't note that we do have some apologies for this meeting, so I'll just note those now and hand back to you. So we have apologies from Russell Hardy, Jane Ives, Will Taylor, Paul Walker, Mark Yates and Kath Cobain. I believe that's all the apologies that have been noted. So without, and I see Hannah, there's, you want to come in, Hannah?
Just one other apology from Katie Hartright, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. So we'll just note all that for the record and then hand back to you, Mark, to go through the report and accounts for us.
Okay, thank you. Right, I shall share my screen. Hopefully colleagues are able to see that. Okay, right. So 22-23 then. So as I've said, effectively our annual report is it's a look back. So it looks back over two parts: a 3-month accounting period. So we've got an annual report for the 3-month CCG period and an annual report for the 9-month ICB period. And to both of those, we have a set of accounts. We had to do a full accounting close down. So therefore, we had to effectively close down the CCG and do a full set of accounts for that. And then we also then had to do a full set of accounts for a 9-month period for the ICB. Within the annual reports, then you can see I've put the link there, and they are available on our public website. The report covers a number of things. So it covers the performance areas, so where we've delivered our performance. in the 22-23 financial year. It includes some of the key areas that we've looked at, and 22-23 was all about recovery post the COVID era, looking at how we get our elective position back on track, how we started to reduce our waiting lists, how we continued with the COVID vaccination programme, how we started to embrace new areas around the NHS Green agenda. So there's lots in there in terms of some of the key areas and things we started to work through. As we then closed the financial year, we had to produce our set of accounts for the full year. So whilst it was a 3 and a 9 month, NHS England still treated it as a full financial year from a reporting perspective. So from an expenditure perspective, as an ICB at that point, we spent just under £1.6 billion. And on top of that, then we had just under £16 million for a running cost allowance. So that was the cost effectively to run the ICB. So overall, we spent £1.6 billion. As an ICB then, as part of the overall system plan, we had a £6.6 million surplus, and there was a brought forward deficit from the CCG era, which reduced then to £1.2 million. So from the surplus we generated, effectively that brought down the cumulative deficit. And as part of that, then we delivered just under £16 million in efficiency savings, and that was within continuing healthcare, on our prescribing portfolio. So that's the cost of drugs that are prescribed from a primary care perspective. And also there were some areas within primary care we were able to deliver some efficiency from as well. Our accounts were audited and signed off. They were given a clean bill of health, and they do that on two areas. One, around the overall numbers. Do they give a true and fair view? And we were given an unmodified opinion, or for those that look at it slightly different, an unqualified opinion from the accounting world. So therefore, they indicate they give a true and fair view. And from a value for money perspective, in terms of how we use the resources and the way in which then we go about our business, we were given a clean bill of health from a value for money perspective as well. So where did we spend our money then? So the majority of the money that the ICB, and before that then the CCG, used goes on our acute contract. So that's the costs of services that we buy and commission from secondary care sector, from effectively the hospitals. Of the just over the 800 million of that, so about half our allocation was spent in that area. And within that half, that 800 million, and 650 million of that was inside our system. So Worcestershire Acute, Wye Valley, it's our local providers. That's where a big chunk of our money goes. The other element of acute then goes outside, so our bordering areas, so either into Birmingham area or down into Gloucester, where we have contracts, and also people that choose to have care delivered further afield. Again, that comes under the acute portfolio as well. The next biggest area of spend then was against our community portfolio. So again, that's community services, and it covers predominantly the spend we have against the Herefordshire and Worcestershire Health and Care Trust, the community element there, so community physio and district nursing, just to pull out a couple of services, and again within Wye Valley NHS Trust as well. We do also have some independent and private providers that deliver community services, so things like community dermatology, community audiology. The next big part of our portfolio then was primary care co-commissioning. So this is where we are delegated to deliver the primary care. So effectively that's buying GP services for our patient and population. So £146 million in that area. And then just underneath that, so just above that, sorry, should I say, but on exactly the same percentage, is the costs of drugs. So this is when you go and see your GP and you're given a prescription, the cost of the drug is charged to the ICB for which that GP sits within in terms of that registration, and we spent 146.8 million on the cost of drugs. And then as you go through the rest of the portfolio, just under 9% on mental health and learning disabilities services. And this includes extra funding around the mental health investment standard. We've not had that audit undertaken yet on our investment standard, but again, we've continued to invest in line with the requirements in that area. And then the next big part of spend on the ICB bit is just under 7%, £111 million on continuing healthcare services. So that's broadly where we utilised all our resource in 22-23. You'll see from the pie chart then there's other small bits in there around other programme services, and as I said, our administration costs. But broadly that's 22-23 as a whistle-stop tour, Chair, and I'm happy to take any questions on anything within either the accounts or the annual report that anybody would like to ask.
Thank you, Mark. So any comments or questions for Mark on anything he's covered off? Okay, I appreciate it's rather historical now, so it is an important step in our process, but obviously a lot of time has passed since that year. So Mark, I think you really just want us to record that we have received the report and accounts in as we're required to do, and I think they were signed off in any case by our audit committee, were they not?
Absolutely, it's fully signed off by the audit committee. So again, Chair, just for as part of our responsibilities, just to note them, and as I say, they are available on the public website.
Great. Thank you very much, Mark, for taking us through that. And on the basis that there are no questions or comments, and they have been signed off by our audit committee, and we note their receipt in public, I thank you, everybody, for joining this meeting, and we can bring the meeting to a close and look forward to showcasing a little bit more, I think, what we've been doing over the past year in due course. Thanks very much, Mark. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Bye.